There you go. Okay, where are we up to? Chavav Amabeis. Um, by well, we got two dots. All right, so we said that a person, yeah, not a person, a tree has up to 16 amas, and then that's when it's gonna suck nutrients out of the ground. Yeah, and we're gonna see on Ahmed Bays, on the next Ahmed Bays, that even though we said that the roots go 25 amas, but um 16 amas is gonna take out the nutrients. So how do we know this measurement of um this how do we know this that where the 16 amas comes from? So let's see. So Amar Ula. So Ula said, yeah, that Elon hasamach lemeitzar. So if you have a tree that's close to a boundary, sheish esrei amma, within 16 amas, Goslin who? So you're a Goslin. Why? Because your roots are going to go under your neighbor's ground and going to take nutrients. Vein mevim memenu bikurim, and you can't bring bikurim from that. Bikurim is the first fruits. So bikurim cannot be brought unless it's from your own. It's got to be from your own ground, only own karka. We're going to see on the next time it also, right? Me'artzecha. The pasuk says me'artzecha. So the first fruits have to come from your eretz. So minali leulaha. So where does Ula know? Where does he get the 16? Elam in the Tanan. Essen the Tiasm Fuzonim Besach Beisa. So if you have ten trees that are within a Beisa, so we need a little bit of Hakdama to this. So we normally know, and it's not a well-known din, but we normally know that there's a, how do you say it? Shemitah. There's Shemitah, right? But what we don't know about is that they're leading up to Shemitah. It's also to work the ground, right? Up until Shemitah. So depending on what kind of field it is. So if you have 10 trees within a base saw, so then Charshin Kol base saw b'shvilan ad Rosh Hashanah. Then there's no Isser to plow there, because you're not. If it was stomp plowing, you're not allowed to do it because that's preparing the land for growth during Shemitah, so that's not allowed. But if it's just to have the trees that are there to fix them, then it is okay. I don't know, it's even to fix them, to help them grow. So now where we got to crunch the numbers. 10 trees within a base core. A base core is 50 amas by 50 amas. That's 2,500 amas. Right, so Choshen Kol Beis Ab B'Shvil Ad Rosh Hashanah. So Kama Havalu, how much do you have? Trei Alfin v'Chamish Meir Garmidi. Garmidi is another word for an amma. So you have 2,500 ammas with 10 trees. So that means each tree gets a Chol Chad v'Chad Kama Matile. How much room are you giving for each tree? Masan v'Chamshin, 250 ammas.
So each
Right?
tree needs to be separated like this.
Look, it sounds like it.
Saying I can't have two
We
trees next to each other and then take 50 amas and then have 50 amas in between the next one. Has to
right.
be has to be
It has to
equidistant.
be correct. Correct. Yeah, that's the way that's the way it seems. Like, it needs to be evenly distributed, as they would say. So but that means each tree is getting 20, how do you call it? 250 habas, right? So that's holoi havi the ula. That's not ula.
This is what is this?
What do you mean?
The Gemara says, and there's a vav, a dalid here. Esenetiyas am so base saw. Caution come by some field. What? This is you plowing your own field.
Yes, for Shemitah,
Okay.
right? You're plowing it for Shemitah, but you're not, meaning it's before Shemitah, so you're not allowed to. If it's going to prepare the ground for Shemitah, you're not allowed to, because you can't plant in Shemitah. right? Right? So that's the din of that's the pre-Shemitah din. It's sort of the same way we have Tosfos Shabbos, we have Tosfos Shemitah also, right? That's what it is. But here,
I'm
but
not. I've never been a farmer. What is this? What
it's called Tosfos. It's Tosfos
what kind
Shemitah.
of what kind of trees? What kind of farm is this? The guy has tree every 200 feet. What is this?
he
He doesn't
this
sound
is
like much of a farmer either. This guy
this is
sounds like a
Rabar. I'll answer you,
rich
Kasha.
guy who hired a guy to plant stuff for him. It's not a
The
farmer.
Toast trees, isn't that, or the rice? They get that from a pasuk.
Yes, yes, yes.
So it's
Yeah.
not like Toast Shabbos.
Well, Tosfos Shabbos and Machlokes, well, because of from Tosfos Yom Kippurim, but yeah, but it's the same concept. Raban, I'll tell you what. I'll give you a teretz that I think you'll like it. What was the name of the market that the Reb Shlomo used to like to get his fruits from? The RCA, the guy on.
Arcieri.
Okay, that guy bought his fruit from a guy with 10, right? Mistama, with the prices that he charged. Rabbi Freifel used to like a guy on Dowdy Boulevard, where I think it was that shul is near that shul with that
Yeah,
across from
someplace
Citibank.
right over there. Yeah.
Right next to Yisrael Yosef, the archery.
Yeah, Archieri. So there's expensive fruit. And Mustama, that's where he got that type of. I don't know. Yeah, Hanami. Maybe the guy wasn't I don't know. But anyways, either way, the numbers don't crunch. Haloi havi to Ula, because Ula says you need 16 amas by 16 amas, right? 16 amas by 16 amas is going to make. How's it go? What's the numbers?
Yaakov,
1,020.
I posted some good pictures.
Oh yeah. Okay. Good. Thank you. 1,024 amas, not 250 amas, right? So it can't be. It's coming from there. The Ella Midatan, but well, we learn it from a Mishnah, a different Mishnah, similar. We have 3 trees that belong to two. Shloshi Lanish Shal Gimel Bnei Adam. That sounds like a din Torah. That sounds like a din Torah, right? But yeah, but it's 3 trees belonging to 3 people, right? And Harayelu Mitzdarfin, they all combine, and they're going to be considered a pardes.
They're
The
all in
Charshin,
separate fields.
no, they're in the same field.
They're in my field? 3 people own 3 trees in one person's field.
Yes.
Okay.
Again, it's the same yesod that you're not allowed to go plowing and taking care of things. Right? So it says you have 3 trees belonging to 3 different people. Harayelu mitzdarfin, they combine and they're going to be considered like a pardes. Right? So normally you have to stop by Pesach. But if you have a whole pardes, then you have until Shavuos, before Shemitah. Right? So Mamela, again, they're spread out with these 3 trees. It's even less trees than the last case, right? And therefore, you're allowed to go up until Shavuos. V'charshin kol on Talmud Aleph now. V'charshin kol beis sab b'shvilon. And because of that, you're allowed to plow. Because of these 3 trees, even if they belong to 3 different people, it's still fine. And you're allowed to plow there till Shavuos. Okay, so now let's crunch the numbers. Kama havalu. So how much do you have in a base? So Trey Alfi v'heimei agarmida. You have 2,500 square amas. L'chol chad kama matile. So how much is per tree? You split it in third, right? So Timni Mea, 800, Tlasin u'tlasa v'tilsa. 833 and a third. That's how many amas each tree gets, right? So then Akati Nafishale de Ula. That's way more than Ula. I'm sorry, Ula's is way more. Because this one again is saying 833. Ula is saying 1,024. So then the Gemara gives Rabbaran's favorite teretz. Loidak. He was not medayik. It was rounding it off. Ula said 1,024, but really it's 833. Right? I mean, that's a pretty big discrepancy to be loidak. Right? You're talking about almost a 20%.
20%.
Right? It's almost 20% discrepancy. Right? Yeah. Yeah.
I
So Gemara
just
says,
gave an
okay,
estimate on the job. They said, "How come it's so high?" So now I have a new. I said, "Low doc."
Right, right.
yeah, 100%. So then the Gemara asks, "Aimer dabrina loidak lechumra." So when do you say we weren't medayik? That's lechumra, lekula, loidak mi amrina, but lekula, are we going to say loidak? Because what is Ula saying? That any tree that has a 1,024 radius, I guess, well, it's a square around it, meaning he's giving a very large area that you're putter from bringing bikurim because you're a crook, right? But how can you say loidak when really you only putter if 833, not 1,024?
Well, isn't that also to bring something that's not really Bigura? It wouldn't just be Lechumra in regards to that?
I don't. It's not kutcha. It's not. I don't. It's not considered kutcha. What do you mean,
There's no Kedusha
like
on it?
chulin? What?
There's no Kedusha on Bigura?
I would think not.
The Gemara talks about it later. Let's say you're masupik if you're mechayiv to bring. You could bring, I think, there's certain things you don't do. You don't make a bracha, but you could bring it.
Well, that's okay. That's not exactly in this case. It's a little different case, but upon I don't understand a different thing, Akiva. I mean, he's being makel in bringing bikurim, but he's being machmer that you're a crook. No, I mean the reason why you can't bring the bikurim is because he's saying that you're a crook. So he's actually being machmer that you're a crook. Not only are you a crook for 833 amas, you're a crook. You're a crook even for 1,024, and that's why you can't bring the bikurim.
Right, I can understand that if it's a Chumra not to bring.
No, I'm saying that this kula is really a chum. Like it's a tinus tomorrow, Taka, right? Well,
That's exactly what I'm saying. I'm saying it's a Chumra, so you shouldn't bring the carbon of Bikur.
Isn't it Reb Chaim, right? He says I'm machmer, I'm makel on what was it?
Near
He said
Chaim
I'm
and
make.
Moshe. Machmer and Hilchas Meiko and Hilchas Shabbos Machman Bekur Nefesh. That's
Chaim, yeah, it was
Right.
super. He was very machmer and pikoch nefesh.
It's Tiago, it is master from other sugyas that V'chai Bahem it might be a kula. A din kula. From some Achroim is mashma. The idea of V'chai Bahem is a kula in the Torah.
B'chai bohem is a kula.
It's mashma from some Achroim, yes.
Yeah,
When I was learning
but it depends on the
when I was learning the
perspective.
sugya of Kali Yisrael Kaidim Mount Torah, there's a shaila of whether they could keep the Torah kula as well, and they speak about v'chai b'hem as a kula l'gabi keeping the Torah.
I hear. Okay.
L'gabi
I'm saying,
Moshe Rabbeinu and giving bris milah to his child.
okay. I don't know. For some reason, the Gemara here is calling it a kula because it's taking it, dealing with it from the angle of bikurim, right? Okay, but either way, the numbers don't crunch. So Gemara says, "Mi savras beribua kamrinan." Who says that we're talking about square feet, square amas? Bigula kamrinan. We're talking about a circle, right? Meaning it's only going to take. We thought in the Havamida that it's going to take nutrients from 16 amas square, right? But now, no, it's not. It's going to go 16 amas in a circle, right? So, and then Mameli, that chops off all the corners. Right? Yeah. So anyways, so then the Gemara says, Michti, Kama Maruba Yoiser ala Eagle. How
We
much
had that.
more?
We're chopping off the corners. An Erevin.
Correct. Very good.
Yeah.
Sukkah, Erevin.
Yeah.
Very good, Naftali. Yeah. So Michti, Kama Maruba Yoiser ala Eagle. How much more are you getting out of the corners? So Gemara says, Revia, you're getting a quarter. Right, so Pashalu Zion Meya Veshisim Vitimnaya. So what are you going to have left? 768. Meaning if you take off 20% from the 2,500, you're going to end up with 768. Takati Pashali Palgada Amsa. You still have a half a amma. The difference between Ula and this Mishnah is going to be a half an amma. So Gemara says, Hainu deloy dak. That's what it means that he wasn't dak. So a half an amma, we're not so careful. Ulechumra loy dak, and he was being not medayek lechumra. All right. Okay. So that's basically that's basically how we get the numbers, right? So it's a half an amma discrepancy, but it's a chumrah, some amela, we're okay. All right,
It's
that's
Yaakov in European what's it called? Today is actually Pi Day. In
Is it
European
really?
what's it called? 22/7 is pi.
Interesting. Okay, Toisus actually asks that it's not that it's a chumrah because of it's a kula because you don't bring chumas and maitzes on bikurim, right? Yeah, okay, whatever it is, fine. So now the Gemara brings a bunch of kashas on Ula. Toshima, Hakoina Ilan v'Karkoi. So again, Ula's din. Let's just go back to Ula's din. 16 amas has a problem. All right, 16 amas. If you plant the tree within 16 amas of the boundary of your friend, then you are a crook. Right. So now the Gemara is going to ask a bunch of kashas. Hakoina Ilan v'Karkoi. Somebody who buys Elon.
I'm sorry, you said something, Hosea. What bikurim is? What do you bring for bikurim?
All the first fruits.
What does that mean? All the first fruits. What does
Meaning
that mean?
your first fruit from your land.
So you can only
Anything
have one first fruit. You can't have more than one first.
We say that in the Mishnah every morning. There's no shear.
Maybe you do. I don't. I'm sorry. So
Okay.
Tell me what it says. Tell me what it says.
There's no
You
shear.
probably
You
say
can
it
have one
also.
fruit is good. One fruit you use like yotza.
Yeah, so one fruit, one thing is becomes. See, Yaakov just said you don't bring trumas and mice. What, from one apple? What does that mean?
Yeah. You cannot use that fruit for trumas maises or anything like that.
Well, because it's
It's kaidish. It goes to the kahanim. So anyway,
okay.
Yeah, Rahman likes
okay,
that.
Yaakov.
Also, I
You
think
don't
it's
have
only
to-
Shivas Aminim, right?
Okay, I don't have to understand.
What?
I don't have to understand.
Isn't it only Shivas Aminim?
It's only the Shivas Aminim. Yes.
It is, right? Yeah.
Yeah. But anyway, so what are we saying? Fine. So okay, so but the Gemara is asking, so Toshima again, but Ula's din is that the tree takes away for 16 amas worth of nutrients. So Toshima koine ilan v'karkoi, if somebody buys a tree and he buys the tree with its land, we had this in Bava Kama, I think, maybe it was Bava Metzia. You can theoretically buy a tree without buying the land. So the Gemara is saying there is a kind of ilan v'karkoi. If somebody buys a tree and its land, mayvi v'kaira. So he brings, he can bring the bikurim and he reads it, meaning he reads the psukim of bikurim. That's basically the Haggadah, right? My love, kol shehu, doesn't it mean that it's a kol shehu, right? Meaning if you bought the smallest amount of land. So that means it's automatically, if you only bought a tree with a little bit of land, then it's automatically going to take nutrients from somebody else. So how can you bring bikurim? To kasha on ula. So when it says la yudvav amma, it's coming with 16 amas. That's a whole diyun how we got from yudvav to tes zayin historically. How can we call it tes zayin? Obviously because yudvav is with Hashem's name. Whatever. I don't remember the parameters of that exactly. But yudvav is the same thing as tes zayin. Right. Okay. Toshima, another similar kasha. Kana shnei lanes b'seish chaver. Let's say a guy buys 2 trees in his friend's property. Maybe ve'ena kaira. So he brings it, but he doesn't say the psukim, right? Because he doesn't own the land. Hashloisha. But if he owned 3 trees, then he maybe v'kaira. Then he does bring it, right? Because the assumption is that he also bought the trees and the land. My love, kol shehu. Doesn't it mean a kol shehu? So when it answers loy, hachanami yudvav amma. It doesn't mean a kol shehu, it means also 16 amas. That's the way Ula will answer up both of these. Okay, so then there's another kasha. Toshma, Rabbi Kiva Omer, karka kolshu, of the smallest amount of karka, chayav bepeya, you chayav in peya. Peya is to give away the corner. Ubikurim, and bikurim, meaning if it grows a fruit. The kaisvan a pruzbul, like we know that there's a pruzbul in order to pater you from, in order to get you out of your loans being nullified by Shemitah. So Hillel was masakin a pruzbul, but you have to own some land. So the mashu of land is enough. On Tomid Beis. And you can use it to be kinda nechasim, movable, right? Movable things that are not karka. You can be kinda with karka, right? We said that many times. That's what we do mechiras chametz. We sell some karka. With the karka, we sell all the chametz, right? So whatever it is, the mashu of land can be chayav peya and bikurim. So how can you do that? How can you be chayav bikurim? Ula said if it's gonna take nutrients from up to 16 amas, you're not allowed to bring bikurim. So one answers, it's talking about wheat. Wheat doesn't take root like that. So what it's referring to is wheat. So you could have a mashu of land with wheat. That's not a tree. A wheat is not taking nutrients from a tree. Like a tree from the ground. Take a nami digatoni kol shehu. It says a kol shehu. Right? Because, and shmamina, meaning that wheat can grow in a kulshu. It doesn't need much room to grow. Fine. And the Gemara continues, Tashuma, to ask Kashas and Ula, Elon, Miktsase be'eretz and Miktsase be'chutz l'eretz. This is you have a tree. Part of it is in Eretz Yisrael, part of it is in Chutz l'eretz. Right? Tava v'chulin mu'ravin, Teva v'chulin mu'ravin zebezeh. Divrei Reb Shimon ben Gamliel. Right? So that's Tevel and Chulin together. How come last week when we said that if Rabbi Yomi asked the kasha, if one leg of the chicken, one leg of the bird is in the 50 and the other one is not, they threw him out of his medish. And this kasha, right, half the tree is in, half the tree is out. They didn't do anything. Oh no, we were bothered by that. Fine. But anyways, so again, you have a tree that's partially in Eretz Yisrael, partially in Chutz La'aretz, so then it's Tevel and Chulin mixed up together. And then you're going to have to deal with Breira and how to be paided, and the whole thing's going to have Kedusha. That's Divrei Rebbe. The parts that grow in Eretz Yisrael are Chayev. Haggadah b'Pater, Pater, whatever grows in that land that's Pater is Pater. Yeah, so Ad kan like pligi. Hello, the Mar Savar Yesh Breira, or Mar Savar Ein Breira. That Rabbi Shimon Gamliel holds that there's Breira. So you could figure out which part's going in Eretz Yisrael, which part's not. Umar Savar Ein Breira, and one holds there's no Breira. Aval Gadol B'Petur Divrei Al Kol Pater. But if the fruit, everybody is Maida, that if the tree grows in Chutz La'aretz, then there's no Trumas and Maasros, right? Now how could that be? It's taking all its, not all, but a lot of its sustenance from Eretz Yisrael, right? So my answer is the mafsik tsunma. It's talking about where there were rocks that blocked the growth. Basically, he put rocks in the ground, or if he put it there, but there were rocks there that blocked, or bricks or whatever it is that blocked the roots from going towards Eretz Yisrael. So all the roots grew in Chutz La'aretz. So when it says my time of the Rebbe, so if there's no roots going to Eretz Yisrael, so why does Rebbe even say that it's all mixed up together? So Gemara says the Hadri Arvi. So Rebbe says that it goes even though under the ground it's separated, right? But above ground everything gets mixed in again. Right? What does this mean? What's the machlokes? The air mixes it together. Now it can't mean the air. What it means, right? Rashi says, is the trunk. Meaning, I don't know how this works with the nutrients, but the nutrients somehow remix together, even though the roots are all in Chutz La'aretz, but once it goes above ground, then all the nutrients get mixed up. The nutrients from Eretz Yisrael and the nutrients from Chutz La'aretz. That's what Rebbe holds. And Marsavar Hailuchu Deikoi, V'Hailuchu Deikoi. Shimon Gamliel says no. Under the ground, They're separate, so that's everything is separate on top of the ground also. Okay.
Didn't we have a
whatever.
Charlotte in a Bais Vali and Bava Setian Bava See regarding Busser Knifei is leaner or Busser whether you go Busser the trunk or Busser the you know the what's it called of the tree? The branches of the tree. Shadi Busser
What do you mean?
Knifei.
Yeah, but
Yeah, Naifa or Gufa. Yeah, we had that.
so you're saying here, I don't know if this is the same. I don't know if it's the same thing.
And are they being chaylik in two machleksim over here? Whether it's Hadr Mamarvi and in the Dina Yesh Beira and Beira?
What do you mean? Whether we say yesh or ain breda?
Meaning, do you need it according to Rebbe? Do you have to come on to two svaras? You have to come on to the fact that Hadr Va'arvi and be Yesh Beira, or is it Ein Beira?
I think this is
Sorry,
not your
according to Rav
classic
Shimon.
yesh.
So this is not at the end of the Gemara is being chayzer at this point. The Gemara does not hold as a machlekes Yesh Beira and Beira, correct?
You mean bechlal?
No, in this case, machlekes between Rebbe and Rebbe Shimon Gamliel.
I mean, once you're saying one because it doesn't
Why
say
did the Gemara
Ella.
say Ella?
Right. I hear your point. Right. Why didn't it say Ella? It sounds like I don't know how you would understand it with Brera. Right?
Well, the
How would
Gemara
you
originally
understand
thought
it?
Brera. Now the Gemara is saying, no, the Hadi Arvi. It's not mashma. The Gemara is
You still
changing the
need to say
svara.
yesh prayer according to Rishon Gamliel.
Do you?
How do you draw the line straight up the border? You're going to say that just and if there's no roots to go across the border, how is the tree, the fruit that's being produced directly on top of the border being produced? You still need to say yesh brera.
I hear.
I don't know about according to
Well,
Rabbi. Maybe
it's
according to Rabbi, even if you hold yesh brera, you'd still have a problem.
Correct, because it would be Marvi.
Right. But according to Rav Shimon Gamliel, you need both.
Well, you'd have to say Yesh Brera in order to say that you
Right.
could split it. I don't know.
You need Ein Ma'arvin and yesh brera.
Yeah, and Hanami, yeah.
Yeah. So according to Rav Shimon Gamliel, you need both. According to Rabbi, you don't l'chayra need to say Ein brera. But it would seem from the Gemara that they're arguing in both.
yeah, but okay, but it's not exactly. I mean, I guess yeah, you do have to say yesh because otherwise it's gonna be mixed up, right?
It's not your classic Yesh Brera and Brera.
No, it's not at all. It's not at all.
Because Yesh Brera and Brera is Lamafreya, we look at that as the original thing. There's no shaykhist over here. I mean, this is Metzias. Normally, Yesh Brera and Brera is about what you had Das in the beginning for. Here, the question is, Metzias, is this like this or like that? Can we look at it like this or like that? I mean, I don't know how this sugi is Tully and Brera at all.
Yeah. Okay, whatever it is, it's because it's not your classic braider. That's why. Yeah. Okay. Anyway, so then I'm gonna ask for Sheisha Shriyama Vasulai. No, if a tree only goes 16 amas, the roots. I mean, Vatran Marchikinas Ilamina Bar Chafayama. We say you distance a tree from a bar, right? It goes 25 amas. So why are you saying 16? We keep telling you how to keep your tree away 25 amas. So then where's the 16 come from? Amrabaya Mazel Tuva Azi. It goes far. But it only weakens the nutrients from the ground up until 16 amas. From after 16, it does not weaken anything. Yeah, so that's again another what do you call it? What's it called? This thing? Not horticulture. Is it horticulture? Is that what this is?
Horticulture.
Horticulture. You pronounce the T. I don't know. I don't want to start up with Rachman. How to
Yeah, you
pronounce
pronounce it the horticulture.
horticulture? Okay. All
The other
right.
one's
So
too close to Mazalis.
yeah. Oh, Yoni's on. Very nice. Long time no see or speak, Yoni.
Yeah.
Yeah. Very good. I'm joining your nephew in camp. Fine. Kiyosar of Dimi. Kiyasar Dimi Amar Bamine Rish Lakish Rav Yochanan. This is also interesting. We have a machlokes what Rav Yochanan held. Rav Dimi said they asked Rish Lakish asked Rav Yochanan, Ilan Osamach Lemeitza B'Sach Yudvav Amamau. What's the story with Bikurim? If you plant a tree within 16 amas of somebody else's field, Amarle, Gazlanu Ve'ein Mavim Imena Bikurim. He's a Gazlan, and you do not bring you do not bring Bikurim. Kiyasa Ravin. Right, when Ravin came, Amar Rav Yochanan, he said in the name of Rav Yochanan, whether we're talking about a tree that's next to the border, the boundary, or it's noita, or it's leaning over somebody else's property, maybe v'kaira, you bring bikurim and you read shalmanaskein hilchul yeshu yisrael esaaretz. We had this a couple of times that this klal that's a, even though maybe it could be geneva or not, but it was a Tanai that Yeshua ben Nun told Klal Yisrael that they cannot be makbid. So since they can't be makbid, it's not a problem. So basically, we have a machlokes as to what Rabbi Yochanan held with these things, which I'm not so sure they're sicer each other. I mean, Rabbi Yochanan can be talking about Ikara Dini is a ganav, but Lamaisa you have this Tanai from Yeshua ben Nun. Right?
Yeshua was a shtillo of Rabbi Leibniz.
Very good. I hear. Right?
In other words, you would still hold that he's a Goslin. Just for Bikurim. That's
right, exactly right. Yeah, very well said. That would be the nafkamina. In Chutzlaretz, you're a crook. And both Rabbi Yochanans would hold that. This Rabbi Yochanan was saying, oh, by the way, it was a Tanai from Yeshua ben Nun. Yeah. Okay, Zog the Mishnah. Elon, so we continue with these dinim. Elon shunaita l'sada chavera. If you have a tree that was going over, this is a very common problem. One neighbor's tree, the branches grow over the neighbor's yard, right? So kaitzitz malay hamardei al gabi hamachrisha. You're allowed to cut off branches the length of a how do you call it? A marda is the thing that you make, a goad. The thing that we just had it a couple of blot ago. I don't remember what it was negaya to. A goad, that's the stick that you push the animal to plow. Amardei al gabi hamachrisha. Ubacharav ubashikma keneged hamashkalas. And by a charav and a shikma is meaning our good old, these two trees seem to go together for everything. The carob, the boxer tree, and the sycamore tree. Then hamashkalas is a, what do you call it? What's it called? Plumb line. Basically, you draw a line from the boundary, and you could just cut all the trees, right? So basically, it's saying if you have your neighbor who has trees going over your yard, so it's a standard tree, you can only cut, let's say, I don't know, 10 feet. I'm just making up a number, and that's it. But if it's a sycamore tree or a carob tree, then you can cut all the branches up to the sky on the border. Beis hashlachin. Let's say it's a field that's how do you call it, irrigated field. Kol ilan keneged hamashkalas. Then the whole tree you can also, any type of tree, you could chop down all the branches. Abba Sholem or Kol ilan sarak keneged hamashkalas. Any tree that's barren you could also cut down all its branches. All right? Okay, so we have in this Mishnah a few different dinim, but what's Abba Shol saying? Abba Shol seems to be saying something very vague. Any Elon Sarak is Keneged HaMashkalas. So Zog the Gemara, Bailu, Abba Shol Reisha Koi or Seifa Koi? Is Abba Shol going on the Reisha or is he going on the Seifa? Meaning, is he going on the first part on a regular field, right, which you're allowed to take a Mardeya, and then he's saying, but if it's a Elon Sarak, then you can chop it all the way up. Or is he going on the Seifa, which is talking about the irrigated field, in which case you're allowed to chop it all the way up. And how does it go? Oh, right. Any tree, the Tanakama would say any tree, if it's an irrigated field, the branches are going to negatively affect the tree, so you can chop up all the branches. Or do we say, no? Do we say, or Abba Shaul saying, no, only a barren tree are you allowed to chop off all its branches, and nothing more than that. So Tashema, the Tanya, Beis Shlachin, and the Beis Shlachin Abashal, Aimer Kola Ilan Keneged Mashkolas. The whole tree is neged the plumb line. Mipnei Shatzel Ra LeBeis Shlachin, because the shade is bad for an irrigated field. Shema Mina. So we hear from this Aresha Koi that it's going on the Resha. Shema Mina. So Abashal's taka is going on the Resha. Right? Fine. So Omar Rav Ashi Mesisa Nami Deka the Tani Kol Ilan Sarak Ia. What?
Does that mean that Abishal is saying essentially that you have two Baltashkises, one against each other, and we wave them against each other? So a fruit
Why are you
tree
saying
you
about
can't, you can
Tashkis?
only, because a fruit tree you can only cut off a certain amount, but a non-fruit tree you can cut the whole way up. Why? Because it's damaging your. Why can he cut the whole way up on a non-fruit tree?
No, I don't think it has to do with Baltashkis. It's just about you can only cut it down. You can only cut it down if it's causing you damage. It's not your tree.
So on a fruit tree, you can cut whatever damage it's causing me. I can get rid of it. But on a non-fruit tree, I can cut the whole way up. That means he's being
Right.
machmer on a fruit tree, not makel on a non-fruit tree. Which means that as so much as it's damaging me, I can get rid of that. Why? If it's Baltashkitz, it's Baltashkitz.
I don't. Why are you saying with the Baltashkis?
He's cutting down a fruit tree. So he's getting rid of the parts of a fruit tree that are bothering him.
Baltashkas is killing the entire tree. If you prune the tree, that's not the Baltashkas. We have that you're pruning all the time. So
Pruning doesn't get rid of fruit. It makes it grow more fruit.
right.
This is
But
getting rid of
killing
fruit
the tree killing the tree is Baltashkas. So if you cut
because
off a
it's getting
branch,
rid of fruit. Cutting rid of a branch full of fruit is also. Why is it any less Baltashkas? He's not pruning.
well, because he didn't kill the tree. He didn't do a real hashkatz on the whole tree.
Okay, so it's a half hashkasa.
Oh, a chatzishir
You eat
asaminata.
chatzishir? I don't think it's chatzishir. I think it's a full. He's doing hashkasa on fruit trees.
I hear. I don't know. Okay, I don't know. I didn't look at it as about Tashkis. I thought it was just neighborly. You know what I mean? Neighborly. You think it just goes chopping down people's trees for no good reason? You have to have enough. You have to have enough reason to back up. You're not chopping down the trees,
But he says you
or
do have
the
enough
chopping down
reason
the
as an
tree.
ilan tzara. It's only a fruit tree. You don't have enough reason somehow.
I hear. I hear what you're saying.
So let's say hypothetically a neighbor has a tree on their front lawn and the branches go over, the lower branches go over the sidewalk, so you have to bend down when you walk. Would that be an
That
issue
we're
to
gonna
chop
get to.
stuff down?
That we're gonna get to. That's the really next Mishnah. That's the next Mishnah. Very good. Basically, see, Jesse's a tzaddik. He doesn't want to say like parrots, like "Let's go weiter." He says it nicely. He asks a kash on the next Mishnah. That's so he says, "Okay, now he gets everybody to go weiter."
Oh, for sure. That's exactly that coming from.
Yeah. On that note, let's go weiter. Yeah. Oh no, but first we have to finish the going, right? So I'm gonna have Ashi Basisa Nami Deka, the Tani Kol Elan Sarak. If you say it's going on the Resha, how does the Tani Kol Elan? It says all trees, right? Right, because Kol sounds like he's adding on to something that the Eliyah, the Sefer Kaviv is saying it's going on the Sefer. Elan Sarak mi ba'ile. He should have just said an Elan Sarak because the Tanakama mattered all trees. Right? Allah Shema Mina, Resha is going on the Resha, Shema Mina, so that's what we say Abba Shol is going on. Okay, we can't finish the parrot because parrot is driving. I don't know what he's gonna do with about l'chaim. I don't know. He'll have to have one at the wedding.
I'll be at the wedding in 5 minutes.
All right, there you go.
Is a
Okay.
boxer tree considered a? Is he arguing on Charav also? He's arguing on the Rishon. Tanakama says b'charav v'shikma all the way up. He says only Ilan Sarak, or does he mask him to Charav? Just adds all Ilan Sarak, not just shikma.
Is shikma what's it called? Baron?
It's not a fruit. Yeah, yeah, it's not a fruit
I
tree.
didn't
Not a fruit tree.
I didn't know. So
But what's
right.
Charav? Do we consider that fruit or not? I mean, besides for two
On Tu
B'Shvat.
B'Shvat, they do. Nobody really does, though. Let's be honest.
Yeah,
That was
besides
nobody
for
actually
Tu
when they
B'Shvat.
eat it. I think only Reb Shimon Bar Yochai considered that fruit. That was it. Nobody in school thinks that that's fruit.
Yeah. It seems like the Rebbeim do.
The
Right?
schools even do that anymore. Boxer.
I don't know.
Don't
Say
they
one
make
thing:
like
if it was a
chocolate?
camp,
Don't
would
they
never
make a
do
type
that.
of chocolate out of that? From Buxton, make some kind of a chocolate, I think.
People make vodka flavor
Yeah,
or whatever
Schnapps,
flavor.
yeah.
Yeah, when life
Okay.
gives you carbs, you make vodka out of it.
Yeah. All right, right. The next one, Elon. So now that's an Elon. That's a tree going from one private property to another one. What about the public? So Elon should like there was just a rabbin. So a tree that's leaning over a public property. You have to cut it down enough that a camel with somebody sitting on top of it can get under. That's how high. So that's pretty high, Jesse. Right? He says it's a camel holding on to flax or bundles of wood. Right? Reb Shimon Aimer, Kol Ilan Keneged HaMashkolos, you can knock down the entire tree based on the boundary, because of Tuma. Right? This can come up in the country. Sometimes you have these random cemeteries. Right? And you got trees growing in the cemetery, then it's going over the street, and it could cause Tumas. So if it's a guy, what do we make with it? If it's a yid, it could be an issue. Right? Okay, so the Gemara asks,
They're not random. It's not like they stuck a cemetery here. All of a sudden, yesterday there wasn't a cemetery. Today there is a cemetery. It's not random. It just happens to be there. Random.
I don't know. There's one next
Some
to
people
Rafal
just
Franklin.
died. The people just died. They made a cemetery.
No, there's like 20, 30 graves next to Rafal Franklin. It's from the
You're
1880s.
down the street from him, right.
Well,
Yeah.
right over here in the Five Towns, you have one by Micha Later's property. He put his fence around it to give it to his neighbor.
Is that so?
Yeah, they buried one of the slaves right next to the house.
Interesting.
Is that recent? I thought they don't
And
have
that's
slaves today.
Cedarhurst.
Right. Anyways, okay, so let's see the Gemara.
Must have been a hush of a slave to get a he's a carcass in Cedarhurst.
Yeah. Anyways, yeah. So man Tana dem nizoken Basra umdun the hashtazina. Who's the Tana that says that we go with what's now? Meaning why? So Rashi explains it because it's saying chop off the branches. Doesn't say chop off the whole tree. Well, Rashi doesn't say exactly like that. It says chop off the branches. Why? Because you need to get through now, but they're going to grow right back. So why don't you just go to the source? Right? So, Matan of Zong and Basar Umdun at the Hasha. Who
I
says
understand they all don't go to the source of Yaakov.
What do I mean?
All these Tanaim don't go to the source. Why is he saying only Montana? I'm assuming he's talking about the Tanakama, correct? Because Rabbi Yehuda and Rabbi Shimon, but Rabbi Yehuda and Rabbi Shimon, nobody is being chaylik on that right now. Rabbi Yehuda and Rabbi Shimon are asking you don't cut down the tree, right? If it goes into Rosh Hashanah. They just hold there's a different shear to how you cut it down. So what do you mean Montana? Everyone in our Mishnah is going like that.
I understand. Well, he's saying who is the Tana that says that?
I guess Rabbi Yehuda and Rabbi Shimon would also be those Tanaim. I don't.
Yeah, well, that's a different
shiloh.
That's a different shiloh. What they're even arguing about? But yeah, 100%.
That's what I'm asking. Like, okay, they're arguing about Shiurim, but why does the Gemara try to isolate only one Mandiyomar? All the Mandiyomar seem to agree to this point.
I don't think it is.
What?
It's asking the other way around. It's kind of who is the Tana that holds like this Mishnah? if we have no Tana that held that you do a temporary thing, then what is going on in the Mishnah? That's really what it's asking. So it's asking the other way. Where is this shita? Do we have such a shita that holds when Nizakin Dahashta?
Our Mishnah is that shita. I mean, I don't know.
We're not talking about Hilchas Nezikin though. So in Hilchas Nezikin we missed it. All of a sudden here it pops up at the beginning of Bava Basra.
Well, I don't know. I mean, again, this is not Nizakin, so I don't know. I don't know.
That's the problem.
Yeah. All right, it's getting late, so let's see. But anyway, so Mantan the Zokan Pastor the Hashtas, who's the Mantan that says we only worry about now? It's actually Machlaik. It's Rabbi Eliezer, it's Rabbi Eliezer, Tanan Einos and Chalol Tachas Rishus Rabim Bayrash Shichin Amaris. You're not allowed to dig holes under the public property because it's going to eventually collapse. Rabbi Eliezer Matir Agola Malechas Tunavonim. As long as the ground can hold a wagon full of stones, which is pretty heavy, even though eventually it's going to wear down, still we don't care, we're fine. Meaning, so it sounds like it's Rabbi Eliezer because he doesn't care about the long term. So there, sometimes when you dig holes under the ground, it can start decaying and you don't even know. But here, as the branch starts growing back, you'll keep sending out the crew, the tree trimmer crew. Right? That's what you'll do. Right, so therefore, the machlaik is who the Tan in the Mishnah is. Fine. Rav Yehuda Gamal Tan Pishtan Echavil is Maris. A camel holding on to Pishtan or Zmaris. Ibayalu. Shiur the Rav Yehuda Nafish. Whose shear is more? Again, it's a camel, either a camel with a person sitting on it. That's how high you can chop off the branches, or a camel loaded up. So whose is more? Whose is a bigger shear? Again, Ibayalu. Shiur the Rav Yehuda Nafish. I did Shiur the Rabbanan Nafish. So when it says Pshita the Shur the Rabbanan Nafish, Pasha the Rabbanan is Nafish. These are the Shur the Rabbi Yehuda Nafish. So if you think Rabbi Yehuda is more Rabbanan, but Shur the Rabbi Yehuda Hechi Avdi. So how did the Rabbanan do the shear of Rabbi Yehuda? Right? Meaning, what do they? It's meaning what do they say to the shear of Rabbi Yehuda when a camel is loaded up? So the Gemara asks the opposite. Well, my shir the Rabbanon. What are you saying? I'm sorry, Velamai. What are you going to say? Shir the Rabbanon nafish. So because of that, the Rabbanon shir is more. Rabbi Yehuda shir the Rabbanon my ovid. What is Rabbi Yehuda doing with the shir the Rabbanon? Meaning the opposite, right? What would the Rabbi Yehuda say when it's a loaded up camel? What are they going to say the shir is when somebody with a camel with a person on it goes by? So when it says no, that's after the gach and the chalif to say. There he could bend over, the rider can bend over, and chalif go pass to say, pass under it without any problem. Right? Meaning, even if you say that the camel, the guy is higher, but he could bend over and he can make himself lower. I guess the load, you don't have the ability to do that. Right? You can't spread it out, maybe it'll fall. He says, because of Tuma, you're allowed to cut all the branches. So it means because of an oil, right? Not because there's actual Tuma in branches. It's because there might be a mace under there, and it's oil. Which, by the way, you have to make sure that the branches are a tefach wide. If the branches are not a tefach wide, mean each individual branch, then it's not going to make Tumas oil. Right? So the Gemara says, it says, because of Tuma, so of course it's Tumas oil. So Gemara says, if it's from the Mishnah, I would have thought Tuma might see Erev Tuma Vishadi Hasam. No, if you would just said the Mishnah, I would have thought that maybe a bird, Naftali, this is for you, a bird will come bring a piece of meat, piece of Tuma, yeah, and put it in the branch, and then there's going to be actual Tuma there. And the person going under the tree is going to become Tame. Right? How do you say it?
Wouldn't he have to touch the
tree?
tree?
What?
Wouldn't he have to touch the tree?
No, it seems like not.
How can you ask on oil atuma and say maybe it would be a different oil atuma?
No, but you went under a mace. You're going under a mace.
It's still tumas oil of a mace. What's the difference?
No, but I guess the tuma's on the tree. The tuma's not on the ground.
The tree's not tame.
What?
The tree doesn't become tame. It's
Right,
karka.
because mechuber lekarka.
Yeah, I have
Correct.
to say that which was Tama was under that branch. That was we put it on this branch, and the branch above it was a tefa. So
Right.
No, what is the difference whether the tuma, the mace, is above ground or below ground? Why should there be a difference?
Right. I mean, what's the practical halachic nafkamina?
I mean, if you say that, okay, if he touches the branch, he's going to be tame. I don't know why, but let's say that would be the din. Then maybe I could say, yeah. Whereas oil, it wouldn't be mahil. But if he touches the tree, it's going to transmit the tumah from wherever it is to wherever he is.
Right.
But if it's oil, what kash are you asking from oil to oil?
I mean, it's the same tuma.
Yeah.
I understood it that it just means that it's the same tuma, but just a matter of how it went. Meaning, no, I think the next line, because we didn't finish, I think the next line explains it. Meaning, Tilma Maisi Arav Tuma V'Shaliah. So maybe an Arav brought Tuma there. V'Sagi B'Chalule B'Alma. All you'd have to do is trim the tree, right? So that there's no Tuma there because it'll knock out the Tuma. Right?
So you're saying that the piece of tuma itself will be mahil?
Yes.
Nothing to do with the tree. The piece of tuma
Correct.
is big enough to be mahil.
Exactly. Okay. Exactly. Right? And then you think, okay, thin out the tree, and then you'll make sure the tuma will fall away. Kamash Malon. So we're saying that no, that's not we have to be worried that no, you have the branches that are growing on top of a mace that's under the trees, and therefore you have to cut them all. You have to cut them all down. Okay. Hadron Allah, La Yachbar, Mazel Tov.
So even one branch would be considered oil? Is that what we're coming out with?
If it's a tefach wide, yes.
I'm going in to see if they have a l'chaim.
All right.
All right. So you're saying you don't have to cut down all the branches. You just have to cut down the branch. You have to cut all the branches down. That would make it a tefach wide.
Yeah. Yes.
Is that what Shimon's saying?
That's what the Havamina is. He's coming to say.
I'm saying no. I'm saying even in the Maskana it should be that way. If you're only worried about oil,
no, he's saying no. Meaning in the Havamina,
leave very thin branches.
In the Havamina, you would you could leave very thin branches.
Why can't you leave thin branches even in the Maskana if you need a tefach?
Oh, you mean you want to because
oil's oil? You can't
right?
Oil
no, but he meant to thin out the branches. You could have still left the tefach's worth.
Right, less than
yeah. Yeah, very good. Okay, Mazel Tov l'chaim.
If the tree itself is mahil, then anything that's mahil, as long as looking straight up, you don't see a tefach. Even if it's 4 branches together that are a quarter of a tefach each, that would still be mahil in the maskana.
Yeah.